here we are, Half-Lifers, out with Neil Barker of LiquidForce. Today we're going to check out the Wakesurf boards, the Wakefoil boards, but we're going to start by digging into the Wakesurf quiver.
Yeah, we got a bunch of great boards out here between skim style, surf style, glass, durable. So we're just going to run through all of them, run through different fin configurations, and just see which ones you like and how they work. And
cool. And when you say durable versus non-durable, what's that mean?
So we make some boards that are meant to withstand like bouncing off the back of the boat,
gotcha.
Living in a board rack, stuff like that. They are not quite as snappy underneath your feet versus our higher end glass, epoxy boards.
Okay.
Those have a much like crisper, snappier feel underneath your feet, but they're a board that generally lives in a board bag. Okay. You're not going to be able to put it in the rack. You've got to treat them a little more carefully, but you get a hher performance feel out of it.
So if you're getting one for the family, get the durable, right?
Yeah, unless your family knows how to take care of their gear,
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get in the water. We'll see how. So this was the first board that I rode. And what is this one called?
So this is the pod. So we have two different pods in our line. We have the durable one, which is the standard pod, and then we have our high-end glass board, which is the Space Pod, which we'll talk about next.
Yeah.
And you love this board, right?
I was really surprised. Like when I picked it up, for whatever reason, I don't know why. I think it's because I have some glass boards. I didn't think it was gonna ride that well. But oh my gosh, once it was on the water, it was a really fun board to ride. I think with the fin configuration as it is, with the back two out, it was nice and loose. And I mean the 360 I did was effortless.
Yeah.
I mean this
board,
board,
you came right around.
I think like the design in terms of how the edges are really allow for nice turning and nice sliding and doing different tricks. I really enjoyed riding that.
So yeah, this one's a little bit different in the rail design than the Dart, where the Dart was really rounded rails that sharpen up. This has a more crisp rail all the way through, which is just going to keep the board kind of constantly engaged.
Yeah.
And then by removing those two fins, you can kind of slide the board a little bit more, but we actually put a little bit of a double V, or a little double channel through here. You see it through the tail?
Oh yeah.
So as you slide the board, it's actually going to accelerate water off the tail, and so you can slide the board without ever losing any of that speed. It just keeps driving. So like when you did that 360, as soon as you came around, the board was pulling back into the way.
It just took, and this is the durable, huh?
Correct, this is the durable one. So, these can live in your board racks. They can fall on the ground. You can bang up against them. Nothing's gonna happen to them.
So you don't have to worry about dinging.
Correct.
So
within reason.
Within reason.
Yeah.
Don't drive over it with your car.
It's not
But
ideal.
if you want to have like a bunch of kids on your boat and they're not that careful with it, this durable style could be a great option.
These are great boards for me because I am the king of dinging boards.
Now this board, woo! This was a heck of a lot of fun. So which one is this?
So this is the Space Pod. This is a custom Space Pod.
Okay.
So the color is a little bit different than what you would normally see out of our Space Pod line. Shout out to Jimmy Redmon. He's our long-term board designer and board shaper. He shaped me this as a little bit of a present. So just it's a little different look than you would normally see on the racks, but same exact board and board style. So basically we took the pod, which was one of our most popular surf style boards that we've made in the past, but we wanted to make it so it turned a little bit tighter. And so what we've done is we kept those crisp rails that keeps it engaged.
Yeah.
But then we cut this swallowtail into it. So it still has that double concave out the tail that helped you speed up in the pod. But it's got this swallowtail cut into it, so the board will kind of drop and pivot, kind of like the Dart did. It'll drop and turn a tighter turn than a regular pod.
Well, I love this one too. This in terms of all three of these boards, while they feel slightly different underfoot, the thing they had in common is they all had really nice carpability.
Sure.
And you could cut them turn them as sharp as you wanted to, and pretty good board speed as well. All right, Neil, this is the LiquidForce Dart. The thing I loved about this, it has the rails on it give it a nice turning radius. It's nice and loose. the tail here makes it a really fun board to ride.
Yeah, so what we did is we really rounded the initial rails off. So when you go to transition this board into a turn, it has a really nice soft bite. And then when you do actually get it on edge, it really sharpens up towards the tail, which really makes the board drive once you're on edge. So it really allows the board to kind of transition smoothly, but then bite and generate speed really quickly.
Yeah.
And then the tail, what we've done is we've kept a pretty wide profile, which gives it kind of a ton of that like forward push and drive. But then by thinning it, stepping it right here and cutting this half moon swallow into it, it really allows the board to pivot and turn, which I noticed when you were riding, you were getting really aggressive, like top to bottom.
Yeah. In this little swallow cut, that helps that, huh?
Yeah, so what it allows to do, you know, if there was foam all the way across here, it's just more, you know, more board that you have to turn from edge to edge. Yeah. You know, more board to sink. And so by removing some of that, it allows you to really sink the tail, which makes the board turn in a tighter turning radius.
Yeah, it felt great. It felt, you know, the first time I was on one of these boards, it all felt so natural. In the surf style family, we went to the Bonzer. I actually never seen a board quite like this, with how those fins kind of go out like that. And this is real straight charger down the wave type of a board, right? Correct,
yeah. This is kind of an homage to like the original thruster fin, meaning 3-fin setup in ocean surf world. Okay. So what we're able to do by putting these really aggressive channels through the belly of the board, and then these really canted fins, is basically put the board in attack mode all the time. Yeah. And so this board is always trying to generate speed, and because of that, we can thin the tail out and narrow the board up. And so you get a board that turns a lot faster and a lot more aggressively than a kind of a standard wider tail surf style board. Right. Which you need that wider tail to stay in the wave most of the time, but because of the channeling and the Bonzer fins, you don't need as much foam to stay with the wave. Okay. And so like I noticed when you were riding this board, you were really knifey, like top to bottom, which just has like a cool like soul surfy look to it. Yeah, I like it. I thought it rode really nicely. Nice addition to the quiver.
So Neil, we were talking about the shaping, kind of the difference in LiquidForce, because I was so impressed with the rails and how it has kind of that ocean feel. You can tell it's somebody who probably surfed at one point in time is the person shaping these. Yeah, so our co-founder Jimmy Redmon shaping surfboards since like the early 80s, and he really shapes an ocean style board. You'll notice the way that the channels feed the fins, the way the rails feed the channels. It has a very, not only aesthetically pleasing look, but it has a very smooth transition-y feel, which is what you're noticing on where they really want to like transition to edge and then really cut hard. You know, Jimmy's a mad scientist. I traveled with him to Nicaragua on a surf trip, an ocean surf trip. Yeah, and he brought like 7 different surfboards. He was reading a book on wooden hull design. I mean, he's constantly trying to get better and learn more about how water travels through channels. And, and I mean, he rode 7, 8 surfboards while we were on that trip, just so he could see what would then translate to behind the boat. So, gotcha. And so when you look at your boards, you know, when he comes up with the shape, he'll go ahead and they're all hand shaped. Yeah, so he to get the design done. Correct. So he, you know, LiquidForce's main office in Encinitas, California, now Carlsbad, we just moved, has a shaping bay in it. Okay. So, you know, Jimmy will actually build these the traditional way a surfboard is built, and he'll hand shape these boards and then take them out on the boat with riders. And then the riders will give him feedback, and then he'll go back to the shaping bay and he'll hand shape 3 more boards. Then they'll bring them, or 4 or 5 or whatever, and they'll bring them back out on the boat and they'll ride them again. And so until our riders and Jimmy signs off on them, everything is hand shaped. And then once we sign off on them, then we're able to then mass produce them in our factories. And what's cool about that is if you ride your buddy's board and you want, let's say you want the Space Pod, you want a 4.8 Space Pod, you've already ridden it, you know that if you go into a shop, you're gonna get a 4.8 Space Pod, it's gonna ride exactly the same. Yeah, it's a really cool series. I've been on the boat with Jimmy and with our athletes where he literally has a sanding block and a board, and they'll be like, oh, the rails are a little rough, and he'll just start scrubbing them down, and then they'll ride them again and go, no, it's still too rough, and he'll start scrubbing them down, and you can feel it when you ride our boards. They have a much more ocean-minded, flowy kind of feel to them. Yeah, I felt that for sure. All right, Neil, thanks so much, man. I loved getting on the LiquidForce Wakesurf surf style boards. They really managed themselves very nicely in the wave, had a nice surfy feel. They were awesome. Thanks so much for having us out here. What a great day on Lake Sammamish.
Oh man, just gorgeous day. I really appreciate you guys coming out as well. It was just a blast.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And come back soon for a little bit more wake foiling, wake surfing, and all things water.